So drive safe, Dave. When you see some of these videos here, some of these are done overseas, and it's actually better when you hear the language because it's the same kind of reaction that we'd have here in the States. Like, are you kidding me? You're moron. What's wrong with you? You think that happened in Louisiana? You know, they moved away from the trucking maybe, and they said, you know what? Let's start faking the accidents in front of trains. I don't know if that's real or not. That could be fake news, but what was this guy thinking right here? You know, I would want my face blacked out too, I'm thinking here. And this railroad crossing, you'll see it multiple times. It jacks people up. They don't know what to do. Do I go forward? Do I go backwards? What do I do? And you'll see this train track over and over and over. Here it is again. What do I do? Oh, knock it down. Do I
make a run for it?
Go, go. And here, right here, and we've seen this on Facebook. I think this is on this may have been on.
Would have stayed hooked. They would have pulled that trailer at least to the left.
Here we go, right here. This is what's wrong with this person right here.
What?
Why would he stop there? I mean, you know what? That's a hard break that you don't have.
Here's that same.
Yeah,
wait.
Exactly.
Wait. What are we doing?
Don't stop there. I'm thinking. You know what? Make a run. I don't get it. That is the most confusing train track
because they all come down at a different time. Oh, and then I'm just gonna get out. Oh, here comes the train.
Oh yes. I mean, I just can't sleep at night anymore. And look at this one here.
Can't see. And
yeah. Drive safe, Dave. We see a lot of these train track videos. We've always seen them. They're, as long as nobody gets hurt, they can be humorous, but they're dangerous out there. I mean, sometimes we've seen them on the videos here where some of the folks are sitting, and if they go too far, that means that tail end's going to be hanging out over the crossroad, over the crosstrack, and it's dangerous right there. We've got to make sure that we respect these trains. It's absolutely amazing. And dude, I'm just looking at you. I'm confused right now. You kind of look like a ghost. I'm not sure. You got part of your collar down, part of it up. It's I don't know. Is that a sheet? I mean, what do we got going on here?
It's not a sheet.
I can't work with this. All I gotta say, no more white shirts for you. Every time you wear a white shirt,
I even tried to wear a nice underneath, trying to make it look good, because this sign basically says what? What does the sign say?
I get the sign, so I'm struggling.
What does it
drive
mean?
safe. I can't even look at you. I can't look at you no more. Hey, when we talk about some of the trains that we've seen, we talk about autonomous vehicles, and now there's also news that maybe this company out of St. Louis is going to come in with an autonomous train as well, that can run 24 hours a day, deliver the trains, and here it is, no emissions. A big thing going on right now are the emissions in this country. And right here, Drive Safe Dave, we have a train that can run, if it were to happen, autonomous. And we hear so much about the cars and the big trucks, and why not a train? And I'm just surprised that we haven't heard more about that, because you think about it, at any one moment, there could be 900,000 boxes sitting because of a driver's, in the train. The trains themselves,
engineers.
They run, they have the same hours of service.
Yeah.
Whereas an autonomous vehicle, autonomous train, can keep that product moving up and down the tracks across the country all the time.
Yeah, and believe it or not, we actually see a lot of that now with the autonomous trains. You can go to the airport and they have the shuttle, they have the inside rail cars, and they have a lot of the stations that still use and are using it more and more and more. And I think it's something that we can get used to because it runs on a track, right? It goes specifically on a track from point A to point B. It's not running all over the place. It's actually running down the line. But
we don't see it in the cargo sector.
No, but we should. I mean, we see. Yeah, we should.
I mean, I would think that, to me, is just that's a no-brainer, right? I mean,
absolutely.
That's above all. Well, we're working on all the trucks and everything. But what about these right here? I mean, it can even move slower. It really doesn't matter as long as it's moving 24/7. Doesn't stop. Hey, let's face it. It's gonna move a lot more product around. And now I guess the answer is, okay, you move all the product and it moves more efficiently. Well, it still has to get unloaded, right?
Absolutely.
It still has to get on a truck somewhere, some chassis somewhere. And if all these containers are moving and if we have a chassis shortage somewhere, well, this isn't going to help matters either. Again, but we have to identify where these bottlenecks are going to happen when the autonomous happens. When cars and when trucks begin to go autonomous, I mean, it's going to, no doubt, increase productivity, but you still have to have people there somehow to unload the freight.
Yeah, and you're going
trailers to load.
Yeah, and you're going to have to also, believe it or not, there has to be custom inspectors. There has to be, depends on what it is you're basically talking about. I mean, somebody still has to physically check the box and still has to put the stuff out on the road, but drivers still have to check in. And we saw a lot going on still in the port. They're trying to unbottleneck that part right there, but they're still getting blocked up, backed up, and they're sitting for hours and hours and hours and hours waiting to get in and out of the port.
Yeah, when it comes to just the autonomous vehicles, we speak about it all the time. It's a big deal, a big news story across everything. There's no doubt, and I'm going to tell you from my opinion, there is no doubt that we as drivers, and I'm talking about fatalities on the highway, I'm talking about productivity from moving in a car to downtown Dallas, downtown Chicago, that if we truly were 100% autonomous, that trip wouldn't take near as long. We could even go a lot slower, and the trip would not take as long. We would have less accidents in trucking. We would have less accidents on the vehicles. Do you agree with that?
If everything was autonomous,
100%, yeah.
Yeah, would we even need stop signs?
There would be no stop sign.
Wow.
They would know to stop. They would know everything. They would know what the next vehicle is going to do. They would just merge in accordingly. And the matter of fact, may not ever stop once you got going. There may never be a stop sign needed, because why would you stop if you already knew that car was going to merge in? You timed everything miles ago. Yeah. You knew what you were going to do when you got to that point, and yet we fear that. And I'm curious from you out there. I mean, I know there's exceptions, right? I know that we're not ready for it, but do you really doubt that we wouldn't be a lot safer if autonomous vehicles were out there running?
If all of them were autonomous, and
yes, all of them. Keep saying the same thing. Yes, all of them, not one of them. If all of them, that's what we're talking about, autonomous. If all of them in my pretend world, they would all be autonomous. Yes, Dave, that's what I'm saying. I keep saying the same thing.
And I hope that would be a far future thing to see. Yes, I agree. They would be much safer, much more efficient, better than humans could ever do it, and then be able to do it better. I agree 100%.
Producer, what are your thoughts?
I mean, all of the traffic issues that we do see on the road, as much as we hate to say it, are human error. I mean, traffic is just one person braking, one person making a mistake, causing more people to make mistakes, backing up traffic, and creating slowdowns. If you take that away, you see more efficiency. It doesn't matter if we're going 45 miles per hour, then it's fine. As long as it doesn't turn into Skynet, I think we're going to be okay,
Yeah, Skynet. But and to your point, there's no you're talking about minimizing accidents, then there's no more slowdowns, then they're running more efficient. We're having a lot easier to do. No mistakes generally being made, right? Machines don't typically make mistakes.
No, I mean, and it can happen. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be something's going to happen, right? Something's going to not trigger right, but the odds of it happening as many times as we, the humans behind it, that are texting, that are doing all. And just think about it. You could text all you wanted to. You wouldn't have to look at anything. You could do anything you wanted to do. Yeah, Netflix. You could get caught up on anything you wanted to. And then next, Drive Safe Dave, I almost feel, was that Vanilla Sky? What was that Tom Cruise movie where they were like fighting the bad people before they even did anything bad? That could be next. We can arrest people before they even do what they're going to do wrong. I mean, at birth, you put them in cuffs and you take them to jail because you know they're going to do something wrong.
You got the whole point of the movie, though, that it doesn't work, right? That was the whole deal.
I got you on that, Drive Safe Dave. Hey, we'll be back in about 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
While you're on duty driving, you have to stay focused in that moment, in that time. If you need a time, if you need a second, or if you need a break, pull over. Jump out, get that Pepsi, that hot dog. Do what you got to do to relax for a second.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight and Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight and Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live. And welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. We talked a little bit about trains. What's that, sir?
Sheet. I'm still not over the whole sheet thing.
I mean, let's be honest with you.
It's not a sheet. It's a shirt.
Is it? I don't know. All I say, we've talked about
very
this.
Nice,
We've
by the
said,
way.
you know what? Don't wear the white shirts anymore.
Yeah, because you can see through them. So what I went and did is I put a nice shirt underneath.
I'm not, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm no stylist. I'm probably the last one, but I could probably put this to a vote. And go ahead, give us a modeling aspect. Let's do it. Drive safe, Dave. Come on, stand up. Let's give us a model. No, the whole outfit. There you go. Notice the style from Drive Safe Dave here. Notice the collar, one up, one down. And the gray shirt that accentuates the form of his style already. It looks quicker. He looks meaner, and he looks like he could rock it out today. Yes, that is Drive Safe Dave. If you want that outfit, hit number 1, and we can get you one ordered just like that. Remember the promo code Drive Safe Dave for that Drive Safe Dave discount.
Hey, come get some.
Hey, but hey, Drive Safe. So did you see Atlanta, Georgia, as reported by Fox 5 Atlanta? A lady goes out there, goes into the hospital emergency room, right? She's waiting 7 hours, and she's like, oh, well, come on, man. It's been 7 hours. I'm done. Yeah, I have a head injury. Does anybody see this right here? Yeah, it's scabbed up. She finally says, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm done. You don't want, nobody even called my name.
In 7 hours.
And then 2 weeks later, only because, the service has been extended on first class mail now. It can take up 2 weeks and still be considered first class. 2 weeks later, she receives a bill for $700.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And so she was charged basically $100 an hour to sit there and wait for no services whatsoever. This is your automation at its finest. You put your number in and it just goes ahead and kicks you out one of the services. So just so you know, Rick, this is comforting to know that if you give your name at the hospital, it's a $700 charge. But that's pretty much what she did, and that's what they charged.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Is she gonna pay it? I wonder. She has Fox 4 News, so I'm sure it's in the investigative side right now where they're going to agree to wipe it clean. But she checks in, and it's insane. Right? I mean, the insanity around the healthcare, the insanity around the hospitals, how did she check in? Is it a COVID thing, right? Did she just put her name in and just like that, she gets charged X amount of dollars? Did she have 1 or 2 or 18 cups of coffee inside there while she was waiting, and they're sitting there like charging her for that?
Hey, that
go get that
money.
free Jello. Did she get that free Jello, that free cheese that they have?
She didn't get anything. She didn't even make it past the counter. She didn't even get her blood pressure. They didn't even triage her. So, I mean, I don't understand exactly. This is that automated deal, and you just kick it out a number. I'll tell you what, not a good thing.
No, for sure. Hey, it is Thankful Thursday, and it's our opportunity to tell each and every one of you, hey, thank you for what you're doing out there. It's important that you know that when we say that, we're not just saying it. It's not just on Thursday, but we do designate this day for you out there that are out there in that transportation market, the truck driver that's our hero, that's left mom and dad or brother and sister, the kids away and going out and keeping this country moving. We want to make sure that we say thank you for that from the bottom of our hearts. It's critical that you understand that you are essential today. You were essential 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's important that you understand that. And one thing that we want to make sure is that you're staying safe on the road. And remember, that requires action. And part of why you watch BCB Live, is not only to get the fashion tips from Drive Safe Dave, and you know what? That alone is worth it. And that alone will take you a long way in life. But aside from that, it's the ability to be reminded, right? To have that reassurance and that reminder that safety truly is important. It's what keeps this country moving. It's what you do. And your job is so daggum hard because all it takes is 1 second of you losing focus for a bad thing to happen, to not see that train track, right? Or to not realize because you're texting and there's not going to be. What are the odds of a train? And it happens. It happens every day. When you're around those trains, when you're around people, when you're around imperfection. And that's what we are. Humans, we're imperfect. And we're driving vehicles, and if we're imperfect, then things can happen. We're gonna lose focus for a second in a car, and we're gonna merge into you. We're gonna cut you off out there. And yes, we ask a lot, but we need you to be at the top of your game 100% of the time. Drive Safe Dave, as we talk about thankful and appreciation for the truck drivers. You know what? Did you see that we have a fellow trucker up in Jersey that may win a seat? I don't think it's been announced yet. Do we have an official winner yet? Has he officially won?
No, it's really close to call.
He's pretty far ahead, but it hasn't been called yet.
Yeah, I think it was too close to call. I think that was the reason it hadn't been called yet. But and did you see he only spent like $153 to actually win the seat? Went out, and this guy's held the seat for like 20 years. So a fellow truck driver is out there going to get into, and you know what? Great strategy too. Went got voters that just weren't participating because there wasn't a lot going on, and he went out and stimulated that voter pool and created a calling to make this happen. And I think it's a great evidence of what's going on in America. When you want to step out and you want to do something great, truck drivers already do that, but here's an opportunity to do it in a different service manner.
Yeah, I mean, he goes out and says that, it's Edward Durst is the driver, is his name, maybe Senator Durr is what we're going to be calling him, right?
Nice.
And that would be such a kick, love stuff like that when we get involved with, with this. If we want changes made in our industry, hey, guess what? We have to get involved. But here it is right here, Drive Safe Dave. He says that, I'm a numbers guy. And, and I love numbers, guys, because numbers don't lie. He says he went back and looked, and the previous senator had never received in a location or the precinct that has 150,000 votes. He's never once received over 30,000, not once. So he said, you know what? All I have to go out there and do is go out there and stir enough people out to go vote for me. If I can get half of them, then I'm going to win by a landslide. And that's what he did. He raises more than $10,000, not much more than 10 grand is what he raised for his campaign. Yet here's what he spent of that $153. $66.64 from Dunkin' Donuts to buy food and drinks, and $86.67 to pay for business cards and paper flyers, which meant he went door to door knocking, or his people went out there and did that, knocking on doors saying, hey, just come out and vote for this guy right here. I know you don't vote before because only a fourth of you vote. You know what? Half of you come out and vote for this guy here. We're going to see some changes. It made a difference. He may win, and I want to see it as soon as we know if he wins. Hey, let's get that. Let's put this on the thing. Let's blast it out, and let's get him on the BCB Live show because I would love to talk to a senator that's a fellow truck driver.
Yeah, and it is a great way to say, wow, go out and make a change and do something about it. This is what's fascinating about it. He wanted something to happen, and he just went out and he did it, and got involved in the community, got involved into local politics, got involved and did a great thing, man. Fantastic stuff. What a rags to riches story is, and a fantastic way to do things. I'll tell you what, when you talk about this, and if we continue to have things like this happen, there was a lot of changes that went over election-wide. Like there were a lot of firsts and a lot of new things that happened across the country during this election. A lot of women made mayors that had never been mayors before, and a lot of different people across the country. There were a lot of new changes going on in the country, and fantastic, fascinating things happening. Boston got a new a female mayor for the first time. I think Pennsylvania as well, Philadelphia. Some really interesting places where new and exciting people were able to get elected into position, and we see some value change.
Yeah, and we say it all the time. If you want something to, if you expect something to change, you have to make it change yourself, right? I mean, it's the only way to do it. Whether it's in how you run that truck, how you run your business, how you run your life. Listen, if you want change, then you've got to make a change, or it will stay the same. And we see that across in politics is really where it kind of shows. If we want change, we tend to just start voting our, if it's Republican, Democrat, whoever it is, we're going to vote. We go that way if we're not happy with the way it's going right now, right? And we see that side. And yet we do the same thing, or we should do the same thing within our own business. And that's you out there as a driver, your own business, because you're running your own store right now, your own business right now. And listen, you've got to make sure that you're operating at the most optimal way you can. And that means plenty of rest that you can get. That means that you're driving safe. You're putting down those distractions and focusing on your business. And it's, the more you have that phone in your hand, the more that you're trying to do that texting, watching Netflix, if that's what you're doing, well, you're taking away from your business. And your business is being safe. That's what we talk about. Your business is being your own safety manager, which is going to keep you from making those mistakes. And that's what they are. Distractions they're going to happen, don't get me wrong, but you have to quickly dial out. You got to run your business and says, I've got to get focused back on what I'm doing, or bad things can happen to me. We saw yesterday alone in one of our videos where we had a driver that was on the phone talk to us yesterday on the call. They said, hey, that was me. There was some action going on over there to my left. Right. There was a car, there was a truck coming off, and it was just doing some things a little odd, and I came to a light that turned red on me. I had to hit my hard brake. Hey, kudos to you, but it just goes to show, drive safe, Dave, distractions can keep you, just for a second you're looking there and something happens right in front of you.
Yeah, you're wanting to make sure that everything around you in that 360 degrees is safe, and you're doing everything you can to avoid an accident. And that's what we're talking about. You have to be on top of your game. You have to continuously, and what I like most about what you're saying, Rick, is improving your craft every single day in being safe. We talk about it. We see these videos. It's an opportunity to see what you do, because what's nice about these videos, when we talk about them, they're real world experiences going on each and every day. And here we have a chance for you to look at them and go, you know what, that happens to me all the time. That guy does come across the lane from the hammer lane all the way across. He does. These things do happen. And when you get out there and you see them, you have a chance to be better and be safer each and every moment those things happen, because you have that chance. And that's what we're trying to create here, is that opportunity, that mindset that helps everyone out there on the road today.
Yes, and we want to hear from you as well. It's Thankful Thursday, so we have an opportunity to get you on the show before before Buckle Up Bob gets on here. And I want to hear what you do to stay focused in your business. Okay, that could be an owner-operator, that can be you, a dispatcher, a safety person, it could be anybody. And yes, it can be you, the company driver, because you are running your business in that truck right now. What are you doing to make sure that your business is staying safe? I want to make sure that you are following that and doing that. Producer, we have anybody already?
Yeah, we got Albert Tubbs. What do you got for us, sir?
Albert, good morning to you, sir. How about you, Albert? Hey, drive safe. While we get Albert back on the line, we talk about running the business and Lytics. It's a telematic company is what Lytics does right now. They went out and they measured what's going on at the this year, right? What's going on at the rail yards, and what they came back with was that we have in 2021 right now. In 2021, we've idled. Okay, idle, what does idle mean? That means you're sitting down, not moving. That means your truck's sitting, parked, and idling. You're waiting for a load. You're waiting to get in. You're waiting to get out of say, a rail yard. And that's what we're talking about here. We have idled over 50 years worth of driving today, this whole year. 50 years. And as we talk about productivity, and my goodness, how long have we talked about it? Productivity, productivity, productivity. The more these trucks sit, we're wasting 50 years of deliveries right here, and yet we want to be open 24/7. How about we focus on productivity? Because there is so much lost in what we do today, in the course of a driver's day. And they go back and they say, well, from 2018 to 2021, we've seen an increase of 50% alone. And I'm here to say this as well. Anything you have before 2018, and as we get further into the e-log mandate, right? 2018, probably still not the best year. It was the first time that we all had it mandated. We have no good data in our system until about 2019. And what we have from folks like Lytx or any telematics company, what we have today in our industry is the ability to read data, because it is actually, for the first time, right, in the last few years, accurate information, because we have electronics now that will tell us we are sitting in your yard. We're sitting there. Why don't you unload us?
Yeah.
We got another load to go pick up. We want more productivity, but hey, guess what? It takes you. It takes participation from everybody, the dispatcher, the trucking company, and yes, the shippers and receiver. We all have our accountability to make this supply chain. We want to fix it. How about we unload people and load people more timely?
Yeah, and make sure that, but it's nice to know that you can see exactly how long it is for each person that you got in each load. And those numbers matter. And if those numbers can go to the people that can make a change, like upper management and customers.
Well, the only way that people make change is you got to charge them. And so if you're sitting, you've got to put the charge out. That's the only way it goes noticed. It has to hit somebody's pocketbook. It's got to hit the shipper. It's got to hit the rail yard's pocketbook for them to make a change. Otherwise, it doesn't exist.
Right.
When the CFO sees that, man, my God, look how much money we're spending on people sitting in our parking lot. Then they will hire somebody to unload your trailer. They'll give you some help on the dock. But as long as you don't pay that, as long as you don't charge that, well, somebody doesn't see it. It's not hitting anybody's pocketbook. There's no problem.
Right.
Nope, it's all bueno. There's no issues going on. So it is important that we do what we have to. Then that means, the data's got to be accurate. And when we see this information from Lytx on these trucks that are idling this year in 2021 at the rail, was this California only, or was this in all? This is just California,
just
right?
Port, just the Port of LA.
This is the LA and Long Beach. 50 years of idling sitting there. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, and are we really wondering what's going on in the supply chain?
Yeah, and they're sitting there in long, long lines for hours and hours and hours, and they're talking about this 24 hours, this implementation that it's not really making a great impact. I mean, I know they're trying to do something, but it's not really.
Well, some of the guys, I mean, some of the studies you see on this, right? If they fix this Long Beach, and if in fact we go to, it's going to save like 2 or 3%. Not very much. And I believe that because, what's it really going to save? You have 50 years worth of sitting. I mean, what are you going to, 24 hours a day is not going to do anything.
So you're going to save, what, an hour? And that, I mean, a day, if 1 year out of that 50 years, is that what you're telling me? You're going to save 1 year out of that.
And that sounds good, right? We have saved 1.5 years of productivity. And that sounds like, you know what, kudos to you. But what about the other 47? 47 and a half, 48 and a half. Where are they? 48 and a half. Where are they at? What about those, producer?
Yeah, we had Jim Jones on the line. What do you got for us, Jim?
I agree. It's this trying to solve this situation of sitting. Wouldn't you agree that until all of the shippers, i.e. trucking companies, get together and say, you know what, because if you raise your rates and say, you know what, I'm not going to sit there, I'm going to charge you. Well, guess what? Bob's trucking over there. He'll say, no, I'm not going to charge you. So guess what? They'll just use Bob's trucking instead of you, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with what you're saying on this, Jim, for a second. I'm going to say the important thing is this right here. The important thing is that we go to, as an industry, we go to a zero tolerance on the hours. Now, don't get me wrong. We may go and say deliver to a customer and they say, well, I'm only going to pay you after 2 hours. That's fine and dandy, but until I invoice them out for all of the hours, right, that will create a short pay on a trucking company's books, to where now we can go back and look at how much that customer is really costing you by not unloading you. Sometimes they don't have to pay the bill, but the fact that we can show them the data that says, look at how much time that I am sitting there. This is why I can't pull your freight anymore, or this is why I am increasing your rates, because while you may only pay detention after 2 hours, understand that I've got to charge you for that in your line haul rate. You can pay me after 2 hours. Just know that for every hour I sit there, that I've sat there on average X amount of hours, I'm going to include that in on your rate. And they may say, well, we're not going to pay that extra rate. And you as a business have got to make a decision. But I'm going to tell you, most trucking companies today, because we only bill out for what they allow us to bill them for, we really don't know how much time we're losing on that account. So it starts at the trucking company, right? To create that invoice so we know how much time we're losing from that. It's data that I think is going to help drive that decision. And while it may not hit their pocketbooks, it allows the trucking company to look at our pocketbooks on how much we're losing at this customer, and do we need to find a new shipper or a new receiver?
Or change the rates to reflect what we need to charge them for the hours lost.
Yep.
I mean, just make and adjust accordingly. If you're going to make me sit there for 2 hours, I'm going to make sure that we, and when we talk about it, we add it in.
Yep. It's a there's a lot there too. I mean, just think about it from a driver standpoint, is if you got to somewhere on time, you did your part on time, well, shouldn't you be compensated for that? That's an industry question right there, is well, that's going to require a trucking company to pay you for that time. And those are the challenges, right? But again, I think we've got to at least see what you're not getting paid, to see that you were there at 7 o'clock in the morning and the company started paying you at 8 o'clock. Therefore, you still lost an hour of wages, right? Because you did your job, you got there. I think that's the data that we've got to see to really make a difference in our industry, to get more drivers in this industry. Again, I'm going to go a little long here, because I'm going to say, why in the hell would anybody come work in this industry for free? It doesn't make any sense. Hey, come into our industry, you show up on time, and we'll start paying you 2 hours later. That doesn't really sell, right?
Or we pay you when you roll. We don't care how long you sit there. We just pay you by the number of miles you run. Yep. And as long as you sit there, you don't get paid, right?
I mean, I'm telling you, we have experience.
So what you're saying is we don't have the data.
Correct.
Right?
I'm going to agree 100%.
So if we don't have the data, we're a long ways from fixing this.
But we have the ability. I'm going to agree with you, but we do have the ability. Most trucking companies, right, of size, they do have the ability to get that data. It's just changing things in the system. It's creating, the billing companies at many companies go, oh no, I don't want you to do that. That means I'm going to have all these short pays. And I'm saying, I don't care. Have the short pays, because we got to get the data somewhere to say, so we know when that invoice comes back, and that billing department at the other company say, why are you keep invoicing me incorrectly? It creates conversation. The data is there. We as an industry have got to utilize that data to make our industry better, to make our industry safer, right? It's just something we've got to do. Hey, I want to thank you guys. We're running a little bit late. Coming up next is Buckle Up Bob on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News over the UK, they have the Army personnel getting ready to start driving the fuel truck. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob.
And most importantly, safety.
You can do many things to communicate that you are slowing down. You can flip your hazards on.
Expect craziness like this all the time.
75% of these fatal accidents involving these trucks are with the first two, and it's the driving too fast and tailgating. If this driver hadn't slowed down, this could have been a whole different outcome.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I am Buckle Up Bob, and we're going to start you off with a little bit of traffic in some of the metropolises around that you may or may not be passing through this morning. We start with the DFW area. A little bit better than yesterday when the rain, but still got some slowdowns on the eastern side of 635 Loop. And then just some of the normal slowdowns here on 20, down here south of Grand Prairie as you approach the 360 near Duncanville. Also, always a congestion point here, 30 and 360, just north of Arlington. The Fort Worth area looks pretty good this morning. Just a few, maybe a 5 or 10 minute slowdown here down north of Burleson coming into the Fort Worth area. But all in all, the DFW area looks pretty good this morning for your commute. Hey, Kansas City looks great this morning again. Just nothing really showing up. Just maybe a few stop and go areas. Less than 5 minute delays is what it looks like around the Kansas City area as you approach the Midwest there. As we go to Chicago, Chicago again looks pretty good coming in from Hammond, Indiana, across there on 8094 looks great. A little bit of a slowdown here in Oaklawn as you come into the 55 split. But the outer loops look great. Even Bolingbrook looks great, which is usually a headache area. But we look good in the Chicago area this morning. Philadelphia looks a little bit better too. New Jersey side looks pretty good. Maybe some 5 or 10 minute spots, but nothing major. And the Turnpike looks a little bit better. Not quite as much red. Just right here, a bottleneck by Narberth. Just right here on the little S there as you approach the downtown area. But up north, the 476 loop looks good until you get to Swarthmore. And then 95 coming in from the northeast looks a little bit of about a 20-minute delay there as you come to the downtown area. Atlanta looks really congested this morning. It is almost the entire loop, all the way down except for this one little area in the southwest corner of the loop. But Atlanta, you can expect some delays. 675 down here by Stockbridge. Some both directions looks like some delays, and again 75 at the merge of 285 loop. Remember, you must take the loop around Atlanta, and today it's going to be slow, so be patient. Nashville, same kind of thing coming up from the southeast 24 here is congested as it typically is this time of the day, but we've got a lot of congestion even north of the city. You can see on the 155 loop, 31E. Very congested as you come in from the north, and then of course the 24 merge point, always a backup right here. So one of the most dangerous, I think, merge points that we see every day. So be careful if you come in that. You can expect about a 25 to 30 minute delay, I think, in that area as well. Baltimore looks pretty good. I mean, just some of the stop and go. Again, you've got the going east on 695 up towards Lutherville. You can expect about a 20 to 30 minute delay, but the rest of the city looks pretty good. Maybe some 10 to 15 minute delays. 295 coming down to the DC area. You are going to really be patient. It's going to be slow moving. And again, the northwestern by Bethesda, very congested here on the 495 loop all the way around to the east side. And of course, downtown doesn't look real good either. But the 95, not as bad as it typically has been. So again, DC, kind of just maybe some typical rush hour traffic this morning. Hey, our weather, we got a little bit of a showers. System that came through the Texas has now moved into the Atlanta area. So if you're in Atlanta, slow it down. We've seen the traffic. You're going to need to slow down. What we're going to see too later in some videos is how drivers didn't slow down 5 to 10 miles. They slowed down 20, 25 miles in some weather. Outstanding job, and that's what you got to do in this weather because the crazies are still going to be out there. People don't respect the rain. You can see the system moving in the Washington, Seattle area, so we've got some rain up there. And as we go through, as we kind of alluded, we're going to watch really close next week is for the snow. You can see some high winds pushing in this morning out there in the Oregon area. And as we go through the day, 4 p.m., you can see that moves in. Likely some 44 to 50 mile an hour gusts likely today as you go through that northwest. As we go through the evening, it kind of dies a little bit. And then tomorrow, you can see the intensity dies down, but the surface area where we get up into 30 and 33 mile an hour winds, gusts, are going to pick up in area from Minnesota, Wisconsin, down to Iowa, parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and then, of course, Montana and the Dakotas and Wyoming could see some 40 to 45 mile an hour wind gusts. As we were talking about, our rain, not much going on today, I don't think. You can see at 5 p.m. This kind of moves off. Yes, there's a little bit of rain and some snow in the upper elevations. Same thing out here in New York, some snow showers. But what we wanted to show you was, as we go through, this is the next 10 days. You can see up there in the northwest, it's going to really come in there. So here, even in the next 5 days, so starting next week, Monday, Tuesday, we should start to see some of that white stuff come into the Seattle, Idaho area, and in parts of western Wyoming. And then, of course, in the next 10 days, by next Friday and into the weekend, we could see even more snowfall there. And as you can see, too, we're going to see it in Pennsylvania and New York as well. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some safety.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News over the UK, they have the Army personnel getting ready to start driving the fuel trucks. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob.
And most importantly, safety.
You can do many things to communicate that you are slowing down. You can flip your hazards on.
Expect craziness like this all the time.
75% of these fatal accidents involving these trucks are with the first two, and it's the driving too fast and tailgating. If this driver hadn't slowed down, this could have been a whole different outcome.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We move in from a lot of these topics into the hours of service on the what is it, CSA?
Yes.
What it is, CSA, CBSA, CSA, FMCSA.
Yeah. There's all kinds. SRL, right? Sir Rick Larkin.
All right, I like it. I like it. So we're talking, we spent a little bit of time going over these things. We talk about HOS, and that's a little bit more specific, right? We hear fitness like we talked about yesterday. Listen, it sounds like all you have to do is have your license and an updated medical card, and you're probably pretty good. Probably. All right? And hours of service, a different story, right?
Big difference. And the hours of service are really more and more with the rule changes. Again, last September, the rules were changed, and for Drive Safe Dave Company, probably in the last 20 to 25 years, no rules have ever been changed that are so much in the driver's favor. And you've got to understand those rules and use them, because with the new rule changes and what you're allowed to do, there's really almost zero reason for you to get a hours of service violation. You have to choose to do it by ignoring the warning systems, right? Most devices will give you an hour, a 30, and a 15-minute warning. So you're ignoring them, or you're not planning, or you're trying to push something, and you just can't do that. So that's a choice by every driver, because the rules are in your favor to, pause your 14 and be able to do it legally without being in a hurry. And that's the other thing. It leads to safety issues. When you try to squeeze out that last mile and try to get that, hey, if I get there, I'll have 5 minutes to spare. That's a bad plan, because something's going to go wrong. We see it in the videos. You're going to run into something. So you've got to have that plan to maybe try to look for something around 30 minutes so that you don't get caught out there. But just some of the hours of service, it's not just 8, 11, 14, and 70. All right? You've got your form and manner. You got to have bill of lading numbers. You've got to have trailer numbers, right? Missing information on your paper logs. If something goes with the ELD device and you don't fill out your paper logs, they go into hours of service. Personal conveyance misuse. Logs not certified. Not knowing how to send your logs to DOT show up on the hours of service violations. Not having a little instruction sheet shows up on the hours of service violations. So all these things you need to be aware of and have, and they're 100% avoidable in almost every case. There's going to be the few exceptions, but they really should be rare. It should be less than 1% of these violations 99% of them are 100% or 90. Can I say that right? 99% are 100% controllable.
Sounded right.
It sounded good.
It's a lot of
It sounded
numbers.
like
Jumble
Dave.
them together. Nobody will ever
just say
question it.
99% are controllable.
I'd say Dave's the only one that gets fact checks. So you're okay.
So I'm good. All right.
We talk about the hours of service in a lot of the things, and it's an important part of your job. I mean, it's an important part of what you do, knowing what your hours are, understanding what your limitations can be, and knowing how to apply them to the job in that day, in that moment, in what you're doing. Because that's part of the job of driving, is understanding how you apply your hours of your available service to the job that you need to do, wherever it is you're going or however far it is you're going, whether you need to change that. And yeah, you were talking about the changes in the rules, how amazing they are and how they benefit the driver in so many different ways, but a fantastic deal. But when we talk about hours of service and these violations, we get caught up in the moment. I think with the new ELDs and how they apply, they make it a lot easier to follow along in the rules. But with that advent also comes new rules of knowing how to use it and knowing how to demonstrate it to the officer.
So I have a question for you too. I mean, you're the expert, and you've been out there on the road. I hear nothing but great things, right, regarding the logs. But yet we still hear the complaints, from drivers that say it's not right still. I mean, and we probably have listeners out there that don't agree with maybe what we're saying here. We're saying it's the best thing ever. It's the best we've ever had, perhaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's wrong with it today? What could we do to make it better today as an industry? Is it only been? Is it the best we've ever seen because of maybe our industry? Does it affect the somebody else's industry a little bit different, or their type of work? Maybe it's a reefer. Maybe they're hauling the rocks around like that. Is it as attractive to them as it is for what we are saying? Or is it truly the new hours of service that we've been running for quite a while now? Is that the best that we will ever have? Is it that good? Should it be good for everybody?
Yeah, there is one of the biggest ones I've heard is they want to go back to the old way where you could split your sleeper 5 and 5, and have that more flexibility. So they took it away years ago, and they're kind of slowly getting it back to, again, one of the new rule changes was you can now do it in 7 and 3 to give that driver a little bit more flexibility. I don't know that it's ever going to go to 5 to 5 just because they believe that you need more rest than just 5 hours. But I could see possibly maybe at some point 6 to 4. And then the other thing is, the personal conveyance use. Mm-hmm. When you're bumping a dock, you're already there. What is the difference of just moving I'd like to see maybe for the industry to where they put a limit of, hey, you can PC at a customer as long as you're under quarter of a mile, 0.3 or whatever it is. So allow you to, yes, you're delivering the load, but you're really there, you're resting, you're not really performing any duty task. That's something I could see to still improve the drivers, but it would be nice to hear what the drivers are saying it is still wrong.
That 5 and 5 rule was really used a lot by teams out there, and a lot of the teams would use that, and that's how a lot of them have applied it, and it made it good for that specific team or for whatever reason. But I'll tell you that that you're right, and the hardest thing for me to see in the rule changes that need to be made is that anytime the truck moves, it automatically kicks the truck on. There may be a time you need to move the truck over or move it forward, or even just that, and not, to me, that may not necessarily be just work, but it might just be a movement of safety, right? It just might be something that you need to do to get out of the way. Like, hey, I stopped, I'm blocking this guy in. He's been there, and now he's ready to go, and I just need to get him out of the way. I don't want to damage my hours of service because I got to get out of the way of this guy. I shouldn't be punished because I'm trying to be considerate, be kind, or moving away, even just moving out of a dock. I don't necessarily agree to it just kicking on all the time. I think it should be a distance maybe or a limitation.
And I can see that as well because, I mean, where you parked at right now, in 3 hours, it may not be that kick butt of a parking spot anymore.
Absolutely.
Maybe somebody came to you and they're just jamming it out with the music. They're loud out there, and now you can't sleep as a driver. So now it's messing with you, and you just need to move a little bit out of the way.
Bull hauler.
Yes.
You just get pulled out.
Oh, I don't know. Now we're going to get them bull haulers on us. I get it, right? But it's a little different smell next to the bull hauler.
I'm just saying it's different. It's just a little different.
No, it's a good point because, yesterday, I'd say in a week, when we go through the unassigned driving, I'll bet there was over 100 in the last week that were under 0.2.
Gotcha.
Or 0.2 or less.
Yep.
That really shouldn't. by DOT, we shouldn't have to be able to investigate them. It should just be, hey, it's normal operation. You clearly aren't gaining some huge advantage by that, you know. So it's like, hey, maybe limit that, you know. It's like
inching it at a time, you know. We got an eighth of a mile closer. You know what? I agree 100%. Let's put some common sense behind these locks. Hey, what do we got for videos today? Buckle up.
We got some good ones, some we can learn from, and we've got some winners of drivers doing a great job. Here again. You can see there's probably 8 or 9 of those white dashes in there, and these trucks are tailgating. This driver does a great job at, look, the space is actually increasing, and then this driver is going to take it. And you know, so again.
So when we go back to our yesterday's conversation, between us and that vehicle in front of us right now, we want 8, 9 marks in front of us, dash in front of us. Man, we are well within that range. We're doing a great job on the following distance. You can see our neighbors to the left, right? Here they come in, and here we go. Let's just see how many we have. 1, 2, maybe 2. No, maybe 1, 1.5.
Yeah.
Come on, we're too
40
close.
feet.
Let's learn from this, and let's share this information with others. Next video.
Again, you know, great space out here in the left lane, and then these cars kind of just take it. Maybe would like to see a little bit backing off sooner, but great job by this driver. Because, again, they get up here and watch what that first vehicle does. He's going to cut that truck off, it looks like. I don't think he was very much far clearance in front of that either. So great job, again, by this driver. Staying in your lane. You know, I get you shouldn't be out there, but let these guys, you're already out there, let them pass, then find that safe lane change to get back in the right lane.
I think the driver in the hammer lane here is positioning himself to pass the box truck up on the right, the straight rail, and he was just positioning himself way ahead of time. And
I'm going to agree with you on that, because if he doesn't do this now, we're saying, come on now, driver, get in that left lane a little quicker.
Good point.
No, great job on that.
All right. Hey, you know, here, again, we're in the rain, you know, but I don't understand this one, right? Watch what the driver does. Got all the space in the world, but we're going to take a safe position into an unsafe and then sit there and tailgate in the rain. I don't get it. You know, if you got to get out of that lane, yes, but slow it down, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you right what's going on here, and I can see what's happening here. You're going up a hill and you're bleeding off RPMs, and you're out in the hammer lane, right? And so now you know you're not going to be able to pass anybody as you're bleeding off RPMs. So he's trying to move, or she's trying to move away, but don't put yourself in a dangerous position when you do it. If you do get behind this vehicle, you got to back off, and you got to make sure you're clear. You got to get away from anybody, especially in this rain. I don't care if you're going uphill or not, but I can see what's happening here.
Correct. You know, again, tailgating. Why? You got to ask yourself why. There's no good reason you're not going to give yourself a good answer, and then you're still tailgating just because you change lanes. It's just
Brian Pan into the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not any better. And this
and
is what we're talking about. This is the action that when you're watching this right now, you're going to catch yourself in this predicament. There's no doubt about it. Y'all are driving, 500, 600, 700 miles a day, whatever you're out there driving, you're going to get yourself a situation. But what we see here is we're going from a bad situation to just as of a bad situation.
Absolutely.
We didn't improve ourselves. We didn't back off. And that's what was required to this moment was no matter what, you had to back off. No matter what.
Correct.
Yeah. And this is a mentality that has to change. Our first thought when we come up on traffic is to change lanes. And it's got to be slow down. Right? You got to get the speed out of the equation. Because just changing lanes doesn't help.
If it's a break, something happens, we're rear-ending them, right? Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And that's not what this is about. When we're out there setting our, remember, we are the heroes, which means we have to obey the rules. We can't catch ourselves out here doing damage, killing somebody. And that's what we're doing. When we're driving like this right now, we are saying, no matter what, either my life, my load, my miles are more important than the lives out here on the highway, and shame on you if that's what you believe. Shame on you for not backing up.
So you got a few Blue's Clues going on here, which Rick likes to say. You're in a multiple lane. You got 4 lanes of traffic, and you move over into and you'll see the sign come up. It's a merge lane. So you already know you have the potential for an immediate stop, right?
That's what I'm saying. I agree. You're in a bad place.
Look
and
right
now you go to the right and look up here to your right. You see, the merge point, and guess what? There's a vehicle right up there. What's going to happen right now?
Everybody's hitting the brakes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then
we're probably back in the left lane.
But then we go to one of our winners of the day. What I love about this, we talk all the time when we say, hey, most drivers, and you can see them out in the left two
Great
lanes,
job.
they'll slow 5 or 10 miles. This driver was doing 38 and probably a 70-mile-an-hour zone because of the conditions. Great job. Just a phenomenal job here.
Drive safe, Dave, and buckle up, Bob. I'm going to say, when I see this condition right here, I don't like being out there in my car. I feel unsafe. And you know what? In the big truck, you've got to feel the same way. And what I love about this is exactly what you said, is that we have done all we can to maintain our safety, right? We've reduced our speed. Space is good. We're not out there in that hammer lane. You know, it's, you know, we're slowing down. We're looking at the situation. We know we're probably in a busy city. You know, there's multiple lanes.
Right.
We're slowing down. We're giving the space. We are making a hero kind of decision here in the way we're driving.
Yeah, I would like to see the flashers come on when you get to this rate of speed in a just to let anybody behind you know that you're slowing down and they're slowing down in front of you. Give a caution warning of what's going on. Just throw them on for a minute, let everybody behind you, and let the car immediately behind you understand what's happening.
Yeah, what I like to do is roll the window down and kind of go, caw, caw.
Does that help?
It seems to.
It seems to. And then you almost miss it if
No,
you
we
blink.
saw it.
Can't do this. This could never be an option. You know, so you got to catch it right at the beginning, and then we're going to kind of run a yellow, which isn't illegal, but it's just unsafe at these intersections. But at the very beginning, running a red light is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, there's no reason for it. No reason at all.
And then we go to the tie for another great job winner. You know, again, 24 miles an hour, 3 lanes of traffic, merge points, construction, and great job. Speed. You see the water, even at this speed, still flying up from the tires. So hydroplaning is a real thing, and you see them cars going around you in a construction zone. Just great, phenomenal job again by this driver.
Great. That is great. Great defensive posture right here.
Yes.
Positioning yourself to be able to react accordingly to everything in front of you. Everybody's pulling away from you.
Yes.
Or her. And making a great choice. I mean, I understand the right lane is busy, but at no point do we ever get too close that we can't stop in this lane.
Yes.
In this lane. There's a fantastic job. Great defensive posture.
Yeah, we're giving the vehicles in that right lane an opportunity, and you can tell how we're driving, right? We're kind of expecting them. A lot of water over there. They're splashing it up over on the right. At any time, they're going to get into my lane, and we're giving them that ability. Love the driving. And, you know, still, though, we go back to 2 videos ago, we see running the red light. Right. That's just, I mean, in my heart, it has to mean a distraction. Somehow we were distracted, because who's running a red light intentionally?
Yeah.
You know, who is saying, I've got to run this light because, again, my miles, everything about me is more important than anything on the road. And not only do I run the red light, but I'm running it because, and when I run that first light, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to make the second light. Yeah. That light could have been red too, and they would have ran that as well. I want to make sure we know that. That's a bad habit. That's a bad decision. Life gets lost when we make decisions like that. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you do for this company. We thank you for all of these drivers that are just amazing. Lord, give us that courage. Give us the foresight to see when these roads are bad and to make a decision. Give us that ability to stay focused on the lights. And above anything, when we get near these intersections, to remind us how dangerous they are, and that running a red light, it really can end life. Give us that courage. Give us that ability to think all of that through when it's happening. Let us learn from these videos, and above all, man, just give us the courage to be the best people possible. We ask all this in your Son's name. Amen. BCB Live, we're the safest station in the nation. We'll see you this afternoon.